Natural deposits of mineral waters and hot springs are well known in Central Europe. Their curative power is widely used, and they are important drivers of local and regional economies, especially in healthcare, wellness and tourism sectors. However, a common challenge is the sustainable management of these natural resources, which on one hand are a basis for existence of spas, and on the other hand are a subject of various threats and pressures related to economic and urban development. Therefore, HealingPlaces project's main objective is to improve current management practices of mineral and thermal water and other natural resources and health resorts. HealingPlaces project has been an original idea stemming from different sectors' needs and partners' previous experiences, integrating different local and regional approaches to solving the problems of spas internationally at the scale of Central Europe area. HealingPlaces project activities were grouped around three main aspects. One was dedicated to environmental mapping and assessment. The second main theme covered the so-called pilot actions, testing the newly developed solutions, while the third one dealt with the development of the common strategy for sustainable spas.
The work package 1 within the HealingPlaces project was called Environmental Mapping and Assessment. It was the most technical of all work packages within the project because it was oriented on development and dissemination of practical tools. Tools oriented on knowledge dissemination, but also providing the tool for threats and pressures assessment in spa locations. The first tool was the web-based GIS geoportal, presenting all information about the thermal and mineral water resources in the partner regions. That means their chemical composition, their healing properties, their exploitation reserves, but also threats and pressures in the particular locations. The second tool was the HealingPlaces Impact Assessment tool. The idea behind this was to provide the local administrations and local policymakers in spa resorts, that means the healing resorts, the very practical sort of calculator enabling them to assess the real threats and pressures on the natural resources, in particular waters, caused by overexploitation, the mass tourism and investment pressures in these locations. And the third tool, particularly important for Italian partners because oriented on one region, Euganian Thermal Basin, was the application for Android and iOS system for measuring the threats and pressures in this particular location, but also giving information about usage of the whole resort. This information practical for technicians, administration, but also guests. Although it was developed only for one location, it was equipped with manual enabling to developing and usage adaptation for different locations. We believe that our prototype tools developed within the work package 1 present the innovative approach and can be widely promoted and further developed. They are easily available and accessed in the internet.
Within Work Package 2 we had the chance to carry out different activities in our pilot regions. The aim of these pilot actions were to analyze the situations in the spa regions, to identify challenges in these areas and to find exemplary solutions and best practice examples. We were 10 partners from 7 countries which worked on 8 pilot actions with very different core areas. Some of us worked in the field of digitalization, for example, or tried to strengthen the networks in the areas. The activities made it clear that the situations in the countries are quite different. There are differences in the legal conditions, also in the ownership structures, for example, and in the, let's say, strategic orientation of the spas, like if they see themselves as a leisure facility or as a wellness facility or a stronger health focus. But we also realized that there are quite similar challenges in the regions, and we had the chance to formulate common findings for all regions. First of all, it might be good to find maybe a set of common regulations or rules which could help the spa managers in their decision-making processes. We could collect best practices from different regions and communicate these to the spa managers, so to help them as well in their decision-making processes. It might be very important, this was one of our key findings, I would say, to bring together the decision makers in the regions, because we realized that there is a lot of know-how available in the countries, but it is on very different positions and very often it's fully networked. So it might be a big chance to bring these people and knowledge carriers together and to generate a common understanding of the situation and to coordinate these different perspectives. And last but not least, it might be very important to raise the awareness that this valuable resource is not infinite. Sometimes we got the feeling that the managers and the operators take the water as very granted. There is no awareness that the deposits might end one day. So these are our recommendations and the findings out of the project.
One of the main achievements of the project was to define a shared integrated strategy for sustainable management of spas and natural resources. And this was a real work of capitalization, since we tried to integrate the tools, researches and surveys carried out in the first thematic work package with the results of the pilot actions implemented in the different regions by the partners within the second thematic work package. Many activities were carried out with the aim of establishing a shared integrated strategy. First of all, the involvement of main stakeholders in all partner regions, then the collection of best practices in the field of mitigation of environmental and socio-economic pressures, then the elaboration of the integrated strategy, and finally the integration of the results in the transnational partnership and the dissemination of the main achievements for the sustainability of the project. The shared integrated strategy consists of three main parts. In the first part, the pilot actions are presented. In the second one, the main pressures are described. And in the third part, three main critical macro areas have been highlighted and specific challenges have been identified for each of them. And for each specific challenge, strategic objectives and mitigation actions have been identified. Hence, some recommendations for decision makers and institutions.
Collaboration, spolupráce.
Zöld gyógyfürdők, green spas,
nature-focused development,
natürliche Ressourcen in Wert setzen,
Cascadian use of water, eco-friendly management,
mineralni i termalni resursi,
zrównoważony rozwój uzdrowisk,
land pressure, land development,
a jövő színe a zöld.
Sustainable development is important.
Termálvízkészletek védelme.
nature,
digitalization for efficiency in sustainable use of water,
protection of resources,
spring, spa, healing places.